have us all test real quick. Let's see. This is my first time with 4 mics.
All right, guys, we are about to do a podcast, and I'm going to introduce you to everybody, and then you can find the podcast. But I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'll link it when this video goes out, and this video will probably go out in about a month from now because I'm super slow in editing right now. All right, introduce yourself and why you're here.
I'm Lindsay, and I'm the wife of Jeramie Lou, and that's why I'm here.
That's not why you're here, though. You're here
that's why I'm here.
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Summer. I own Pretty Little Paper Company and co-host the Reno Social.
And I'm Sam. I created the Reno Social podcast. It's on iTunes, and you can just Google or in iTunes look for the Reno Social, and you can go ahead and see our episodes with local entrepreneurs where we talk about their story and how they're affecting the community.
Ooh, look at that intro. That was a good intro.
She's like,
all right.
Obviously, you know what you're doing.
I'm just going to film this whole thing, but I will share this on social media so you guys will be able to watch it before or listen to it before and then watch it later on.
How can we get us all in there? Can you take a selfie from that side?
What do you mean?
So that we can kind of get in, all get in here?
No, I don't even know what you're getting into.
No, the 4 of us in the podcast.
Oh, like turn around and...
I think selfie stick, but...
Oh, my face.
Throw a filter on
All
there.
right, you guys got to lean in over there. Maybe I can do this. Got it.
I sunburned though.
Glow. Summer glow.
I've literally never sunburned my face like this in my life.
Tahoe has a whole different
It
side.
wasn't even that hot up there.
Mm-hmm.
Just a reflection, man.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my intro. I'll just say, hey, Reno, blah, blah, blah. We'll get Summer in there, and then I'll introduce you guys.
Okay.
And then I think I'll just have you guys each start by telling your story. So, Lindsay, I'll start with you and how Salon Lux came to be, blah, blah, blah. And then just like a short snippet of it, and then we'll expand, and then we'll go on to Jeramie. And I'd love to know just too, like, how, at the point that these started, where the other one was too, like, in your family, where you guys were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it's no, like, there's no specifics, like Summer said. It's just a conversation.
Okay.
So we'll just pop around questions, and, like, it's
And and then if
casual.
there's like a dry spot, Sam will. Okay, so tell me about blah blah blah.
So
Okay,
just
yeah, cool.
pop stuff off my head.
I gotcha.
Okay, ready, and... Hey Reno, this is Sam, and you're listening to the Reno Social Podcast. We're back today, and I'm super excited because we're here with Summer again, co-hosting. Hey, Summer.
Hello.
And we are lucky enough to be sitting in the Lou's house today. They invited us, Jeramie and Lindsay, to be here in their home and to talk with them today about their story. They've been married for 10 years, and if you don't know exactly who they are, which you probably do, Jeramie and Lindsay each are their own entrepreneurs. They've pursued their own businesses. Jeramie is the owner of Jeramie Lou Photography and of Hatch here locally, and Lindsay is the co-owner of Salon Lux. So it's pretty cool to be here with them today and hear their story. We're super, super excited just to talk with them. So thank you guys for
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
yeah, letting us come in and
Pick
help
your
ourselves.
brain, yeah, in your beautiful home. I don't know if you follow Lindsay on Instagram, but she'll post pictures of their home, and it's so cute. And I always go, oh, we can DIY something. We should repaint our cabinets. We should. So if you don't follow her, make sure you look at her photos because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, last week I told Summer, I said, next week we're going to go to the Lou's house. And she said, oh, their house is so cute. I said, oh, you've been there? She said, no.
That's fine.
She said, but I see it online and I think it's really cute. I was like, well, okay, that works. But yeah, so Lindsay, I'd love to start with you, co-owner of Salon Lux, local salon here in Reno. How long has it been around? How did that come to be? Because I know you guys each have, your own kind of businesses that you run. So with Salon Lux, where did that start?
So, I've been doing hair for about 14 years. I started behind the chair, just booth rent for a lot of that time. When I found out we were pregnant with our last one, Chloe, who is going to be in December, I decided I wanted to go somewhere that was a little bit cheaper, not pay so much booth rent. It was our 3rd child. And Carissa, who's also my best friend, owned Salon Lux, which used to be on California Avenue, right above Old World Coffee in that building.
Okay, yeah, I know.
That's where it started. She owned it there for about 5 years, and the last year that we were in there, I was there with her, and her lease was, you know, coming to an end, and she wanted to start looking for something bigger. And I had always said, if I ever leave, I'm going to own my own space. And at that point, she was like, well, why don't we just do something together? Because we love working together. We are both creative. We have our minds think alike. We bounce ideas off each other. So we started looking. We found a spot on Flint Street that used to be residential. They were currently flipping them to commercial use. And we tracked down the owner of this building. I don't even know how we ended up finding him, because there was no signage, no realtor. And it worked out that we were able to get our hands, you know, on this building and be the first ones while it was getting flipped. So we had most of the say in what was going to happen. And so now we've been there for about 4 years in July, and we have a great team of stylists, and it's a lot of work. I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into at the time. And Chloe was still little, so we both feel like we lost a lot of time with our babies during that period. Because we were at the salon constantly picking, you know, chairs or paint or what they were going to do to the floor downstairs on the concrete. So it just took a lot of our time in the beginning stages. Now it's kind of like natural flow and running by itself. But yeah, that's where it started. So her and I have been in ownership together for 4 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then Jeramie Lou Photography, Jeramie, I'll have you come in. I mean, you've been longer than 4 years, I believe.
Yeah, I'm at like 9 years.
Okay, that's what I thought. So you had already, at this point, you were already working 100% just in photography, or how did that come to be? So you
when she built her salon, we actually built Hatch and her salon, I think, in the same month.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, so we kind of started. Hatch was being built down the street.
Of all that, not to cut you off, we were buying our first home.
Holy smokes,
so it was kind of a lot to take on.
We said good credit.
That's a good place to start. So Jeramie Lou Photography had already been, have you always been Jeramie Lou Photography? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was a massage therapist, and then I bought a camera one day. So that's my story. We were having Ryan, who is 9 now. She's turned 9. So maybe it's been 9 years, because I bought it like 3 days before she was born. Because my point and shoot broke. So I went to Best Buy, bought a camera, and I bought a camera that could change lenses. And that was the start to what I did, because I came home, started taking pictures, and my pictures were crap. And I started blaming the camera. And I'm like, I could probably do better. And then I went online and figured out that a bunch of people were shooting amazing photos with that camera. So the geek in me, the nerd in me started to go, how can I now make these images amazing? And then one day people started hiring me, shot the babies, and then kind of built from there. And then just quit massage one day, just literally stopped.
How long did it take you to get from massage, like, did you go part-time at massage first, or did you literally drop massage and go full-time into photography?
No, I did both for a little bit. I'm an entrepreneur just by nature. So I was doing massage and then bought the camera, and I want to say about 6 months later, I just sent an email to all my clients, all my current clients, and pushed them off to other therapists. So about 6 months, I shot my first wedding then.
Wow.
And then, I look back at that stuff, and I mean, the images were horrible. But I knew how to sell myself.
Right.
I was going to ask, how did you said your first wedding, how did you know how to price it? How did you...
I didn't. Another part of, and then this will get into Hatch later, but I actually contacted about 5 photographers in the Reno area and asked them, hey, I need to learn about weddings. I need to learn how to price. I need to learn how to shoot. Can you help me? They all told me to drop dead. I was going to kill the industry. How dare I, uneducated photographer, come into the world of Reno and try to take over. These 5 are still shooting today. I used a massage email, so they probably don't even know it was me, or they were just trolling on their own emails.
Right.
But I've communicated with a few of them since, but they have no idea that I contacted them, and that's what they told me. But after that, I hated photographers for 2 years. I was like, every photographer I saw, get away from me. Started doing my own thing. Went back to the way I priced in business, which is by the hour, which is how much do I want to make per hour, and then take your portrait client from beginning to end. If it takes me 5 hours to work with one client with editing, shooting, and all that, I want to make $100 an hour, then I need to make at least $500. And that's how I price myself, and that's how I currently do it still. but my rate's gone up.
It's interesting to hear because I do feel like Reno strives off of community and let's all support each other is what they say. I don't know if you might know this, but Lindsay and Carissa were actually my very first clients ever when I started Pretty Little Paper. The co-owner of Salon Lux, was my very ever first paid anything, and then I helped them with all the branding of Salon Lux when they first started. And because they like supported me. So to hear that, I mean, I'm glad you went on and kind of told the other people to kick rocks.
Yeah, and what I find interesting about that too is my first ever Tuesdays Together meeting, which holds that whole community over competition. We had a conversation about photographers and same thing about reaching out, and I think it was Harley. Is her name Harley? She had mentioned you in that meeting about how she had the same problem, but before she came to you, she had gone to a couple other photographers who had really like kind of shut her down. She just wanted someone to talk to, and she had mentioned your name in that meeting, that you were the only one who said, "Let's get coffee and I'll chat with you." And so even though 9 years ago that happened to you, based off her, even that was like back in the summer. It sounds like it's still.
Yeah, I mean,
a common theme.
I think it is, and I think it depends on the photographer, and I feel like, and it's any industry, we say photography, but it's anything.
Right.
Hairstylist, photographer, people want to blame other people for their not successfulness, and the easiest way to do that is saying, hey, this guy came on, he started taking all our clients, he edits a certain way, he does a thing, and it's cheap, I hate it, but he's booking all our clients. And it's not, there's so many clients possible in our area and the whole world that how can I take everything?
Right.
I turn away a lot of clients every single day, whether it's my scheduling, my pricing, or whatever. They can find somebody else.
Right.
If I fail, it's my fault. It's not somebody else's. And I think that the old school generation of photographers are in that world right now where they're like, they haven't adapted their skills or upgraded their cameras or upgraded their lighting, and then I come in with a new thing, and all of a sudden it's easier to blame me for like, he's doing something totally different and it's killing our industry.
Right.
So that's where we're at. But it's just, you just have to kind of grow with it and then just make sure that everybody is growing with you.
Right. And at the time, so you're leaving being a masseuse and then you're becoming a photographer. So were you, Lindsay, at that time working just as booth rental? Okay.
Yes.
And so you guys at that point, I mean, was that because even for me and my husband to go to him and have the conversation of, I want to quit my full-time job and I want to do photography full-time. And I was doing it part-time first, and I kind of had to work up a number in my head, like here's how much I'm making and here's what I think I can still contribute. Was that a conversation for you guys that was like an easy conversation to have? Like, Lindsay, you are already working off, your own kind of hourly money that you're making. No one's essentially writing you a paycheck salary-wise.
Right.
Jeramie, I mean, at the time, was that something you just felt really confident, like I can make enough money to support?
Yeah, we never had that conversation.
The way that we communicate, I mean, we pretty much just know that we have to make money to provide for our family and live the life that we want to live and vacation and
there's no what if. I mean, I talk to a lot of people and they're like, I can't afford this or I can't pay this bill, and in my mind it like boggles my mind because I'm like, well, what have you done? Why haven't you been able to do that? Why, you bought all this gear, you bought all this stuff, but you didn't think ahead of that.
Right.
So for us, it was like every year we needed to spend more money, and every year we made more money one way or another, whether it was increasing our prices, increasing our brand,
getting another job. I mean, we were always, like Jeramie always had
I was always bartending
a
or
side
food
job
serving.
doing something. I
Up until
was
like,
a server.
So you guys always knew,
booth rent.
that
you have to provide.
Right, that you guys were never going to be like, well, we'll just suffer, so that, I mean, you knew that you'll hustle whatever it takes.
Exactly.
We never stopped getting Starbucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like
maybe for a few months when I
read this,
upgraded to an SUV, but
yeah, like our car payments got up every year. But like I listened to something on Creative Live when I used to watch Creative Live a lot. This guy basically said that it's not about taking away what you're used to. It's about finding a way to pay for what you want. And that kind of like resonated in my mind because a lot of people like they'll go on Dr. Phil and Dr. Phil will be like, we need you to put you on a money diet. Your Starbucks is costing you $5 a month. If you were to do this after a year, you'd save $800 a month. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just try to make $800 more a month?
Right.
And then live that way? Why are we trying to go the opposite way? And I think that's how like middle America was. And I never felt like I was middle America. I'm always going to be successful. I'm always going to have a mansion. I'm always going to have this. So go for it. I never thought the opposite. I never like, what if I live on the street one day.
Well, and I think that has to be a big testament to your business and how it's grown and been successful, because you've believed in yourself. It's that same mindset of, I think a lot of people, and we see it sometimes in our meetings where people talk about how they want to know from full-time people, how did you go full-time? I'm just too scared. I'm not. I think a lot of it starts and they don't believe that they'll make it. They don't believe that they can, you know, and you guys not only, you started out, you know, and then you've grown and grown and grown and grown and made a name for yourself. And so I think it sounds like a lot of that comes from just your mentality from the start, is not letting yourself think, well, you know, hey, Lindsay, we'll see if I'm a good photographer. I don't know, you know, maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't, and then, you know.
Right.
And I think that's huge in mindset-wise of making that happen. And then for Salon Luxe, I mean, same kind of thing. We, like Jeramie knows, obviously, photography is a saturated market in Reno, like a lot of things are. But salons, I mean, I feel like, especially lately, like, I prefer to go to, most people do now, a professional salon than, like, a Sports Clips or something. I mean, that's, for women especially, salons are huge. And every time I walk into some of these salons, they're just insanely busy.
Yeah.
For you guys, for you and Carissa, was that something that you guys were, like, you know, nervous about it all, with like this kind of salon culture growing here, or did you think there was definitely room for?
No, we were very nervous, and being that this space was twice the size as her old space, she was going from 5 stylists to now we have 12 chairs. We were so nervous. We were like, how are we going to fill all that and pay the overhead?
Right.
If we don't have the spaces to fill, we're going to cover essentially whatever's not covered.
Right.
And honestly, there's no money in salons. It's, people think that there's money in salons. It's really just to say that you own your own business.
Gotcha.
And the what is the word I'm looking for?
Describe it.
What you get out of owning and giving people a creative space to work in.
Like the benefit of it.
Yeah, just seeing people grow their businesses that are coming out of beauty school, giving them, you know, a spot to get creative and learn and get extra education where they may not go somewhere necessarily that offers all that kind of stuff. We use a product line that is also super supportive to their salons. There's a smaller company based out of San Diego, Unite, and we've considered not carrying them at times because we just want to get something fresh in the door. But at the end of the day, they provide education, they provide support. Their company is just all around a really good company. And then they came out with this doggy poo line, and we all know how many animal lovers are out there. So we're like, well, now we can't go anywhere because they're doing something so good for their community down in San Diego, and everybody in the salon just really supports that. So we recently adopted a dog from the Nevada Humane Society. The salon took care of all the expenses and put together a bag, Mr. Magoo. So we're still waiting for somebody to go in and adopt him.
It's all paid for.
But it's all paid for, and I totally got off track. Yeah, we were very worried, and to say the least.
I know you said when Salon Luxe started, obviously, like you guys said, you lost a little time with your babies. It was a lot. Would you say now, being co-owner of the salon, you have more freedom than you did with your family, or like as opposed to just having a booth rental? Or would you say it's more?
Not necessarily more freedom, but we're finding the balance.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How, between the two of you, I mean, since you both don't have these 9-to-5 jobs, how do you, I guess, balance between your 3 kids, one on the way? Yeah, like how do you, I mean, is it like Tuesday, Thursday, Jeramie's home with them, and you, or how do you do that?
Well, luckily we have school now, but we haven't, haven't always had school.
Right.
So, so Lindsay has a schedule, and I just work around that schedule.
Okay.
So, in the summer, I usually try to take off actually Tuesdays and Thursdays because Lindsay works all day, and but I theoretically work 7 days a week.
Right.
So, like entrepreneurship, I never have a day off.
At the same time, I'm still adapting to his schedule, even when I'm working Tuesdays and Thursdays.
We just have a joint calendar, like on Gmail.
And a babysitter in the evening, or I'm going to be cutting back my hours with the new one on the way, because just with the amount of work that I've put in the last 14 years, and I know that this is our last baby, I want to be able to spend as much time as possible with this child. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I still love what I do. I want to be in the salon. So, I think...
Should just be a receptionist for like 2 months.
I should.
Did you... I mean, you guys, you kind of have careers that, in a way, complement each other. You know, photography and beauty. Was that something in the beginning that you guys ever thought about, like, partnering on, or you kind of always kept it separate?
No, yeah, it's much...
Maybe for, like, a split second.
Well, we refer each other out.
Gotcha.
But that's it. But I was never going to have...
Like a package.
Yeah, like a package with
it wasn't going to be a package with each other.
I'm never going to package with anybody because I don't want somebody to not book me because they don't like the other part of it. Because people just are afraid to say yes to things. You know, it's easier to say no or I don't know and then never hear from you again. Mm-hmm. So, no, we promote each other out, but we don't do that. We don't work together that much. A lot of people assume that we are together a lot. Pricing structures change. So I refer out, I have her as my lead referral, and then I refer out like 5 other makeup and hair. Yeah. Just to give them options.
Yeah, and I'm sure that goes both ways. Like, I'm sure with Salon Lux, you guys work with different photographers for different events and things like that. I know, Jeramie, you had mentioned Hatch and Salon Lux came along at the same time. In case people don't know, what is Hatch and what's the story there?
So Hatch is truly one of a kind, even though if you talk to some of these old school photographers, it's been around for years. So Hatch is a membership-based photography studio. It's a lot different than what people know as a co-op studio. So basically what Hatch does is we provide lighting gear, backdrops, education, space, viewing rooms, makeup areas for a membership. So it's almost like a personal trainer paying Anytime Fitness rather than being part of Anytime Fitness. So they get in there, they get to use a space. Right now we have a contract of 6 months to a year, but basically we provide everything. They just have to bring a camera, memory card, and lens, and they build their business. It's a lot different than a co-op, which a co-op is 5 photographers get into one space. They all get a corner of the space. They run their business. Nobody talks to anybody. Right. So we wanted something different, and it came about simply because I wanted a large studio and I didn't want to pay for it myself. And so, but I also am very type A where I need things to run a certain way. And I know people can disregard a few things, especially if it's not their space. So I decided to, and this kind of came about with my very first studio with Colin Nikolai. We started renting out our studio for hours. And it got to the point where people were renting it so much that I was like, why don't you just pay just give us like $250 a month, and then you can just come in at these times and do whatever you want. And that's where Hatch kind of came about. So we wanted something bigger and larger and more community oriented, and it was great until it wasn't great, and then it got great again. But yeah, that's kind of what Hatch is. So we just rehabilitate and build photographers.
And I think that's a good point. Is that is it unlimited? Like you can come in anytime you want?
Right now it is. Okay. So when we first started, it was definitely packages by the hours, gotcha. $199 to $500. But then it got to the point where we had to have somebody monitor that because people would come in and start lying about how long they were there, and I'm like, dude, it's fine. I'll give you an extra hour. We're not going to come after you. So then we decided to go, hey, let's just do one membership at one price, and we actually have a virtual calendar online that was custom created for us. Hence the whole, this is new to everybody. There was not even one calendar built anywhere in the world, no app, no anything, on booking a bunch of people into one space without being a salon, and that's not what we were. So we had a custom built, and you can still go on it today and look at it, how busy the studio is. But photographers go in, book their space that they want for as long as they want, and it's reserved for them. So they can walk in and just set up without having to worry about, can I work this place? Right. Can I make this studio happen?
Right, and I think what's super beneficial, like you were saying, is, because I've talked to different photographers about the co-op option and different things like that, but with you guys, you provide all this stuff. I mean, people aren't having to come out of pocket for the extra stuff, the space, the backdrops, things like that. And then on top of that, any studio rental in town, really, there's only a couple others that I know of, is going to be a standard at least $50 an hour anyway. So you're in there for 1 or 2 days a month, and you already expended the cost of...
I mean, they have the studio rental, and then to rent paper is an extra charge. Exactly, to rent a light is an extra charge. So we kind of put everything in as long as it stays in-house. Hatch was never made to profit. In fact, I've always said it's never profited ever. we just put the money back in, we buy new gear. In fact, we're buying new lighting right now, and we're expanding our current space right now. So we just opened it up for like 4 more photographers to jump on, which will fill pretty easily. But this way we can have a custom boudoir area, custom children area, or newborn area. I don't shoot newborns, so
yeah,
that's what I refer out.
Yeah, and I think in town, especially here, I mean, I love Reno, and I struggled with this year, and kind of every year is it gets cold and it gets really nasty outside, and then there's really no. I mean, you can shoot outside, but then especially with little kids, then you're kind of screwed, and you're losing money because it's like, well, there's nowhere for me to shoot this 1-year-old who's not going to do well.
Well, just any day with rain.
Outside. Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if it rains, you're out of options, and that's our biggest push. The biggest struggle that we came up to, though, is a lot of these photographers are what we call natural light photographers, and they call themselves natural light photographers. And I think it's a cheat. It's a cop out on being limiting yourself as a photographer. I mean, photo means light, so being a good photographer means knowing how to use light around you, light that you have, walking into a house and finding the good light, or using a lamp as a light source. That's our job. I
think a lot of that just is from fear.
Yeah.
100%. People are scared, and that's where they go to the natural light. Because when I started, I'm like, I've never called myself that, but I was like, that's all I know.
Yeah.
Like, I can go outside with the sun, but natural light. And Elsa Boscarello and I were talking about this the other day, because she was saying the same thing. I think you did recently a class, she was saying, like a one line.
Yeah, I teach some stuff.
And she was saying, like, I gotta learn. She goes, because my pricing, she goes, I don't feel it's fair to price a certain amount when I could say I'm a natural light photographer, really it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true. It's like, you could say this is what I am, but really it's just that you don't know.
Yeah.
How to work anything else.
So I mean, one of the biggest things that we do for every single Hatch associate member is that we teach them lighting. And so everybody that's joined Hatch has if they're in Hatch still or has left since, are more successful than when they started. And they have a vast amount of knowledge of photography. But being able to just use lighting that's there, rather than having to maybe buy a $500 light times 4 to maybe light, you don't have to love strobe work, but you have to know it, because I've always put the example of if you're a wedding photographer and you're shooting at Edgewood in December and the sun goes down at 3:30, how are you going to explain to your clients that all their reception pictures are completely dark or blurry or messed up or whatever?
Right.
You have to be able to understand it at least.
Right. You don't have to love it even.
Right. You can hate it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it has to be there. For both of you guys, I mean, you guys have done this all on your own. Did you guys was that a lot of work to figure out, okay, what licenses do we need? What this do we need for both sides of your businesses? Or was that something, Lindsay, that maybe you kind of already had from Carissa kind of knew? Or
Carissa and I have very different roles when it comes to running the salon. She's super business oriented, numbers. She's very smart when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I knew she was going to have that in the bag.
Gotcha.
When we went into this business together. She knew that I was creative and loved interior design and Instagram and, the social media aspects of everything. So I just knew that was going to be my role, was creating and helping create logos, obviously with her help.
Right.
Because all decisions are made together. But that was going to be more my role. I was going to run the social media accounts, and I was going to figure out blogs and all that artistic stuff.
Yeah.
Just because that's what I enjoyed doing, and I didn't know the first thing about where I was going to start,
all the other
for state licenses.
Right.
And
Is it still like that today? 4 years later, you guys
still
have similar
we're
roles?
still similar 4 years later. I just cannot comprehend it to save my life, and that's okay, because she totally knows what she's doing, and I completely trust her. And that's a thing with running a business with a best friend, and with a partner in general who may not even be your best friend, is trusting somebody.
Right.
So I trust her 100%. I don't have to worry about, the money that's going in and out of the account. And for a while there, we were putting in so much money into the account to cover extra expenses and just to keep the salon up to date. And she was keeping track of all of that. that we were putting in for tax purposes.
Right.
And, you know, eventually if we could pay ourselves back one day, unlikely to happen, but for that reason, I never kept track of any of the numbers. I just wrote the check to make sure we had enough money.
Right.
So yeah, she has that whole end of things, and I still have the artistic end of
A
things.
Carissa of my own.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be, and Jeramie, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. I mean, I hate to say it like it's some kind of badge of honor, but it's hard to be a creative, quote unquote, and then not everyone has the business savvy side.
Right.
And I feel like that's also sometimes the tilting teeter-totter of success or not success is, like you said, you knew how to sell yourself. I mean, it's one thing to be good. It's another thing to know how to put yourself out there, how to sell yourself, how to promote yourself. I mean, was that something you felt like just luckily came naturally to you, or you had to really work at? Or
So I went to UNR for business, but I didn't graduate. So I had enough classes and enough savvy in it that I knew what I was doing. It's always better to be a good marketer and be bad at something than to be good at something and a bad marketer. So yeah, I kind of, just knew that I needed to make money and how to make money. And then, I mean, it's just easy for me, I guess. It's not one of those things where, I mean, I don't know, the starving artist comes from somewhere. I mean, that term.
Right.
And so when I'm talking to people and just asking them general questions, I'm like, hey, how are you marketing? And the amount of common sense that I feel like people should have to make money, to survive, isn't there right now. They're so I bought AdWords on Google, and I'm like, how often are you searching these yourself? Where are you putting your money? Where are you doing the things? I mean, it's better to give a wedding coordinator an album of a wedding that you shot together so that she can promote you, rather than just spend $150 on the knot every single week.
Yeah.
And first off, I hate those Wedding Wire, the Knot. Those things are all Yelp. It's all scammy. There's no way to prove that you're getting what you're getting, and why are you putting money into that when you can't prove it?
Right.
I'd rather just give a discount to somebody.
So as someone who wears all hats in your business, how do you prevent yourself from getting burnout, whether it's creatively or...
I get burnt out all the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the time. So you have to find different outlets to do, but I'm notorious for just working all the time. And actually I like working. So it's not like when people say, live your life, work shouldn't be everything, that's what they do. They like to go boating. I don't camp. I don't fish.
True.
I don't.
I have to pull his arm to go.
We don't camp.
Do something.
We just don't camp. We're not gonna go camping. But no. So I have a schedule that I live with every day. I have things that I do every single day for my business, and in my office I have little lists 1 through 12, and each number represents what I have to do. Whether it's an hour of emails or Facebook or promote on Instagram. Everything I do is calculated so that I do it every day. And this is just since I was a kid, so that I don't all of a sudden wake up a Sunday overwhelmed, I haven't posted in a week, what's happening. So if you guys go on my and that's why I don't blog, because I can't blog every day. I have a YouTube channel that I post every 2 to 3 days, and it's all scheduled within emails, and then everything derives from my email. So I send myself emails every day, every hour, on things I need to do. So that kind of keeps me going. And then just having little outlets, I play video games, I work out now, but I'm not a big worker-outer. I do it in the morning. But that's it, just maintaining. I mean, if, I don't have
Would you say, I know, Lindsay, you mentioned this, that even though when baby comes, you're going to take some more time off, you love what you do. Because like you said, Jeramie, I think some people work to do what they love. So in the sense, they work, or they own their own business, might not be what they love to do, but they do it so that they can take Wednesday, Fridays off to golf.
Right.
So they don't golf professionally, but they do something that they don't completely love, but so that they can do things that they love. Right. Versus I feel like in your guys' worlds, it might be kind of opposite, where you literally work to do what you love, but it's all tied in one. You love what you do. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a good way that, yeah, you're working, but you're also loving it. You're not having to,
push yourself to do it.
Yeah.
You would do it anyways.
Right. You're not working so hard so that you can. Obviously in life we want to take vacations and things like that, but was this something either one of you have ever been because I feel like even sometimes I do this, and God, I'm only a few years in compared to you've been in photography for 9 years, but sometimes I think to myself, will this be my forever? Forever, ever?
What's up?
Like a song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eminem or you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. I can hear it in my
Just
head.
a
But
little
it's true, I
rapping.
think.
Yeah.
Like, is this forever? You know, or... And I think that can be said especially right now, and I'm just as my person for photography, it is becoming, especially even a little younger than I am, I feel like I'm falling out of the loop, and in what's popular style right now, I feel like I'll have people come to me and be like, I love this picture that so-and-so took, but I feel like I'm not in that popular vibe of like that film look.
Moody,
and,
trendy,
yeah, the dark.
I hate it.
And it's hard because so that makes me question myself, like, am I getting pushed out? Like,
No, it'll be gone in like 3 years.
And that's my thing is,
It'll
I'm
be
like,
gone.
so, I mean, do you guys ever, either one of you, think to yourselves, like, do you know that this is forever? I mean, or do you just kind of think, I take it while I love it, and...
Yeah, there were times where I questioned it, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially in the last few years. I think going from my 20s to my 30s, you know, people say you change the most between 20 and 30. And being that I started doing hair when I was 18 years old,
Right.
it's like, holy moly, it's gone by so fast.
Right.
And not all of it has been enjoyable. But finding what I love about what I do is what makes me want to keep doing it. And it goes along with that artistic, like, that vibe I have in me. So even though, like, the more time I spend on social media and on Instagram and looking at home decor, because that's just, I mean, home decor and interior design, that's like my side hobby.
Right.
For a second, I thought maybe I want to do that instead of doing hair. But I think to do that here, I don't know if there's a market for that.
Gotcha.
And I think it would take away from the enjoyment that I have doing it on the side.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, once you start getting paid to do something sometimes,
Right.
then it takes the fun out of it. So for me, it's just, I would just want to do it for myself. Maybe if somebody needs my input on something once in a while, then I would like to give it to them.
a rug in their home office,
Yeah.
for example.
But I also get to have that creative outlet behind the chair with hair, with fashion.
Right.
It's kind of like all in one package almost.
Gotcha. That creative, the juices,
balance,
they flow.
yeah.
And I definitely don't have like Jeramie's mentality when it comes to work. There's been times where he has tried to push me to work harder, and I just don't have it in me sometimes. I want to spend time with my kids. And knowing that he's not going to slow down, I am kind of taking over that role for him almost, where like he has his set schedule, but that also comes with less time with the family. Mm-hmm. So like when we're bringing another baby into the picture, I'm cutting back my hours so that he doesn't have to take away from his business and his workflow, and I'm okay doing that.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point, because that's like with you guys in general. I mean, like with us having a baby, you know, my husband has a 9 to 5, and so it's like it's kind of set for him. So it's just kind of like I don't have to, you know what I mean? Like he has a set kind of thing, and so I'm the one that kind of flexes to that. But for you guys, you almost, I feel like it's a combination of like working with each other, and there isn't like Jeramie's like, oh, well, my boss this is already what he said. So there's, you know what I mean? You really can kind of meld into each other in a way that most people can't. Because I'm not saying nobody that we know or in the community has the same setup as you guys, but I think it's rare to find two people who are successful, have their own businesses, and then make it all work with kids. Because a lot of times you see people without kids. They're like, well, we just didn't have kids because we're, you know, you know what I mean? So I love the fact that you have a family. You just make time for your family and your businesses, and I think that's huge. Jeramie, we did a cool walkthrough. I mean, I'm not going to invite everyone here to their house, but if you could see, I think in your like YouTube videos, can you see your office kind of in the...
There's like office tours, and I actually just filmed another one. It's not out yet, but...
the office is... So, Jeramie, I mean, you have Hatch, and then with photography, a lot of times you have, or photographers can work from home. Mm-hmm. What are your, I mean, do you go work at Hatch throughout the week, obviously, Lindsay, you have the salon, so like you have to do hair. Well, I don't know. But,
my work doesn't come home with
right,
me
exactly. So for you,
his
Jeramie,
does.
I mean, I think, and I was telling Jeramie this, and we were talking about the importance of having a space at home, because there's that sometimes hard line of like, when is it home time, when is it work time?
Right.
But having, and he has a really awesome dedicated space here in their home. But would you say you work out of there majority of the time, or the importance of being here or being at Hatch?
Yeah, I think I mean, either or. I feel a photographer has to have a professional photographer has to have a studio of some sort. We can't rely on the weather all the time, but also just simple things like meeting with the client or showing the photos or doing viewings. You have to have that space, and you look a little bit more professional.
Absolutely.
That's not maybe like a studio at your house.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just as a male photographer, it puts out a weird vibe if I'm doing like, say, a boudoir or a model shoot, and I'm like, yeah, come over to my house
Right.
and let's hang out. And that's a huge issue for me with model safety. So Hatch is my shoot space. And even though I'm a studio photographer, I shoot in the studio maybe 1 day a week. The rest is on location. A lot of wedding, a lot of commercial shoots that I do are at locations of the businesses I'm working for. So I'm not always in the studio. But when I come home, I need to have a place that's separate, that I don't have like my Mac in my kitchen, and a place where I can just go to work. If I didn't have a space here at the house, I would rent a little office somewhere, $400 or $500 a month, and just have a space where I can just go in and work and just be there. But since we have a family, it's easier for me to be able to work from home. And it's far enough that it separates me from everything.
Right.
So if you're a photographer, like, you just have to have these spaces to work. You can't you're not going to build if you're just doing everything from a laptop in your kitchen, no matter how cool or trendy that may feel, or just going to a coffee shop. Like, I get it, people are posting that stuff, like, I'm working at the coffee shop today. I'm like, but how much are you getting done? Especially living in this area, I can't go to Starbucks without seeing somebody that I know, because I'm born and raised here.
I have a question for you. So I work from home. I'm not a photographer, but my office is in my home. And so when you're in your office, your little nook, do your girls and your wife, do they know, like, do not disturb, or how do you guys balance that? Because my boys will gladly come in and want to and I'm like, no. And
I mean, I check on the girls, like, when they're home. Like, I'll come in and check, so it gives me a little bit of a break. So maybe after, like, every 30 minutes, I'll just stop what I'm doing, go in and check on them, and it gives me a little break to go out. I mean, if I wasn't at home, I would just check the cameras. But my girls, I mean, they're at the point where I'm not going to freak out if they open the door. It's like I'm in an office. If somebody comes in and says, Jeramie, I need to speak with you, like, you're not going to get out of my space. But they know that, and everything's enclosed. I have a window in there, so I can basically just kind of check what's going on. But I mean, it's like anything. You give them tasks, give them stuff to do. I am going to be adding another light into there that I thought would be cool to, like, turn on a red light if I'm like, because I film my videos and stuff in there. So I can just, I use a Philips Hue system, so I can just hit a button and it'll turn the light red, and that'll be when I'm busy or don't come in. But I'm never that type of person. Like, I'll be doing a shoot, and if a photographer comes up to me like at Rancho and says, hey, I'll literally stop the shoot to talk to them. I'm never going to be like, I'm unavailable, please. Like, and if people did that to me, it's just weird to me. Like, if I walk up to somebody and they're like, I just can't talk right now, I'm like, no, you're an asshole. Whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I have a laptop. I can't really edit on it just because I have a hard time with, like, not having a mouse. I don't know, it's weird. But in general, unless I'm in my office at home, I don't feel like I'm 100% focused. Like, even if I try to work from somewhere else, when I sit down at my desk, I'm like, there's something about it. And Summer, I know you have a home office, but then you also, every time I'm there, I see you have your desktop and you have your laptop. Would you say you work?
I only work from my laptop, which probably isn't, like, logistically the smartest, but because my boys are so young, you know, if they're all over the place and I really need to just, like, focus and get something out, I will go to, like, a Starbucks and hide in a corner or something. My desktop I only use for music and Netflix, which is really bad, I know, but...
You know, you can get a cord, and then your laptop can go into any monitor. So you can still work from there,
I
even if
know
you
that.
go into there.
It's on my to-do. But yeah, that's good to know about, like, the home office, because it is a balance. People think it's really cool, and it must be so nice to work in your pajamas, but I'm sure Jeramie knows.
You can't do that. Like,
no.
you have, I get up every day.
You'll never find Jeramie in his pajamas.
Like,
ever,
you have to get up,
anywhere.
you have to shower. I mean, and then it's like a work day. So, like, if you think you get up and then yeah, if you're gonna sit in front of your TV in your pajamas and think you're gonna get work done, you're not. It's
Right.
never gonna happen.
Right.
The motivation won't be there.
Well, and I think for you, Jeramie, I mean, and I don't know, I could be shooting left field with this, but I feel that you do a good job. Your face and your name are well known in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like I don't put myself out there as much because then, like today, when I have my face beat red from a sunburn, no one's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's Sam from AB Photo Read." Like they don't. Sometimes I think that's to my detriment. Like it's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's just your brand.
Yeah,
It
and
just
I think
depends.
sometimes like I'm scared of, because like I feel like I'm scared of putting myself out there. Like Summer, you're the same way. I feel like people know like who you are, especially with you, Jeramie. I feel like getting into the photography scene from my point of view, people just they know who you are. You know, you have a good name in the community. You have, and your face is known.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that that's something, I mean, and I posted about this a while back, and you were actually the only person to reach out to me. I was at UNR shooting, and I tried to wave to like a couple photographers as they were shooting, and like they just like look at me like,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
it wasn't like a wave like I know you, because I don't know them, but it's just like a...
You know, like motorcyclists when they drive by each other, they're like hand out, like, hey. So I do it all the
People
time.
told me there was a Forerunner wave. By the way, Summer, you also have Forerunner. There's not. I've tried. People think it's weird. But some, you know like how they have the Jeep wave?
I mean, that's fine
Like if you
because I
both
don't...
own Jeeps.
Yeah.
I just thought, you know, you do the wave, but I feel like it's a weird, like, so sometimes I'm scared to put myself out there. I mean, Jeramie, I'd love to know, because you really have. I feel like you do good at putting your name out there, but has that been hard? Like, was that ever, like, weary for you of, like, privacy, or?
So I branded myself as Jeramie Lou, not as a photographer. So everything that I do, my branding is about me father being a photographer, but it's not about just photography. Whereas, and that's why I use my name purposefully. I didn't, use any weird, like, aperture.
Right.
Great photography. And I feel like a lot of photographers do that, like just weird names.
Yes.
Like when I look at somebody's name and like the name of their business, and I'm like, I don't even understand why you came up with that name.
Yes. We recently had a discussion about that at Strange Bikinis. We were all there for a meeting. And Gina,
Hassler,
yeah, her and I were joking about that because she's like, I was like, I wish if I could go back, I would just be my name, photography.
You still can.
Instead of, I thought about it, and I'm like, instead of trying to be, and everyone does that, like these crafty, like, and she was like, like I'm GMH, and you're like AB. It's just like, and people are like, I'm sorry, like what's your name?
Yeah.
Like, and it kills me. So I'm like, I just think that, like you said, Jeramie Lou is its own, besides cut photography.
Right.
Now you have Jeramie Lou is his own person, his own brand. And in general, I feel like for both of you, I mean, I'd love to know for both of you too. We've kind of had this conversation before. You guys have kids. You're both well known in the community. Do you ever have concerns about like privacy, or do people ever see you when they're out and be like,
Nobody knows me.
no?
or like recognize.
If you know me, you know me through Jeramie.
But do they recognize the girls and go, oh, that's...
They'll recognize me. They'll recognize the girls from Instagram or Facebook photos that they've seen on Jeramie's account.
But nobody's weird.
It kind of gets a little bit awkward, though. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. I mean,
They're
they're always with
I know
us.
you.
Yeah.
It's
And
not like I
like-
sent the girls to Target by
Right,
themselves,
and
and they're like, I know who you are. I'm gonna go after your dad.
See, because I've had people that'll go, oh, I recognize the curly hair. I recognize Parker. I recognize the curls. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks for following on Instagram. Bye. But you guys haven't had any weird run-ins?
Nothing weird.
No.
That's good.
I think people are always just shell shocked, kind of that thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's never.
Never been an issue.
I've never had a privacy issue. Like I post on my page, anything you post anywhere, whether it's private or not, is going to be out there.
Yeah.
Right.
So if people are really worried about it, then they would just go and not post anything.
Right.
And I've had some clients who are like, yeah, please don't post pictures of my kids. I'm like, cool, totally respect that. But
Yes.
if somebody took a picture of my kids, I'm like, yeah, post it away, just tag me.
Right.
It's cool to see.
I did a fun commercial for
Wild West.
Chevy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Wild West Chevy out in Yerington. And I mean, one person recognized me from at Costco. The guy checking me out. He's like, "Weren't you in that commercial?"
Why is
Yeah,
that?
That's me.
Actually, it
Would
was.
you like an autograph?
Yeah. No.
That was a little bit
Free
weird.
hot dog at
But of
Costco?
all
Yeah.
things to recognize me,
Right.
from, it was from a quick snippet commercial that I did years ago.
And I think, and the reason I asked you, I mean, you guys both have I would say, a decent, social media presence, whereas, again, like I've said before, like Summer and I, our husbands, nor Jim or Tom, I don't think have, like, no one following them. No one cares. Not that anyone cares about us, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no...
Well, and see, that's
one-sided.
where that's the opposite of what I preach. I'm like, stop posting about you, or stop posting about your work, post about you.
Yes.
And I mean, I want you guys to think of like your mentors or who you followed before you became in the industry that you guys are. You're following them because of who they were. So mine were like Zach and Jody Gray.
Yes.
And my business is pretty much was mimicked after theirs and then modified over a few years. So I do some things they do, some things they don't. But they're a husband and wife couple, and basically they have two different roles within the business. I had to make those two roles one role.
Right.
But I follow them because of who they were and their values and how they branded themselves. People rarely ask about my photography. They just say, you do great work. I've heard about you from this and this and this. Or I'll go and do something and they're like, hi, I'm Jeramie, I'm a photographer. We were in Arizona at the Wigwam Resort, and there was this family taking a picture. He put a little thing down and tried to take the picture and could do it. I was like, let me just take the picture for you. And that was it. I was just going to mention that. And then they saw our hat was from Nevada, so they started talking. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Jeramie. And like, Jeramie Lou Photography?
Oh.
And I'm like,
wow.
And it's just because of my name.
Like, what are the chances?
Yeah.
It's just that, it's just and you're branding yourself as a person. But a lot of people will know me because of that. And I feel like if photographers would stop going negatively against the people's brand, like if somebody came and said, I hate I'm not a big fan of the filmy, moody edit, but I'm not going to go after a photographer because they do that. They're getting clients because of that, and people are booking because of that.
Absolutely.
But I've always told photographers, I promise you, if our price was the same and people were trying to book us for their wedding, they're going to book me because I put myself out there as a cooler, personable person other than just a photographer. Nobody wants just a photographer at their wedding. They want a friend.
Absolutely.
That does amazing work.
And kind of touching base on that, like when we opened the salon, we knew that we wanted to support the community, and salons get a bad rep in general, and so do hairstylists.
Right.
I mean, people get intimidated easily walking into a hair salon. It's beautiful people with good hair
Exactly.
and good style. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we just knew that we didn't want our clients to ever feel like that and be intimidated, and we wanted to be able to do a wide variety of people in the region and not cater to one type of person. Do we want to photograph 25-year-olds all day long with great long hair and clip-in extensions? Yeah, it's going to make our Instagram look amazing.
Right.
But that's not what pays the bills either. And so that was really a focus for us, was sticking to that and making sure that our salon always supported the community, and other salons will refer proms and weddings and all kinds of stuff to different local salons in the area, still to this day, no matter if they're referring us or not.
Yeah.
And we just have always supported every hairstylist in the community. And if we have a class, we'll be sure to invite the community as well if it's an open class for that.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point of being open to referring to other people. I do that a lot. At first I try to do everything, but I'm not good at commercial photography. Like, it's not for me. It's not. And I tell people, like, don't even try to, like, talk me into, like, doing it for some kind of, because you're not going to get what you want out of it. And so I'm more than happy to say, okay, here's like a couple other people I think that would maybe do a better job, or I mean, because you can't be afraid of referring to other people in the community. And like you said, Jeramie, I think you sell off yourself. I'm the same way. There's a photographer in Virginia. Her name is Caitlin James. I love her for just who she is, really. I mean, her photography's great, and I try to, like, I've always looked up to her, and I like her style, and I've tried to emulate her style, but I just love, like, her husband and her baby, and they're so cute in their house, and, like, I just like them. Like, and I think that that's so true, is that someone who likes you is going to be much more prone to book you than...
People want to, like, know about your life.
Yeah, they want to kind of be your friend. Like you said, they want...
Like, they follow you on Instagram or social media to know more about you personally.
Yeah. And I think
what
that's
are you
more
doing
common.
today at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah. What did you eat for lunch?
Yeah. No, I really do want to know that. What are you
We always like, what's this? Cool. So I'd love to wrap it up. I'd love for you guys to talk about, I mean, where do you go from here? Do you guys plan on, I mean, expanding even more? Do you think that this is kind of like where you're going to hang for a while with the salon and Hatch and Jeramie Lou Photography? Or, I mean, where do you see, I mean, I know you guys have a baby on the way. Where do you see your businesses and your family growing or going in the next you know, forever.
Go ahead.
I think with the salon, we're at a pretty good spot right now to where we're comfortable. We have a great team of stylists. And, you know, we started at the highest, we went to the lowest, and now we found our middle.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're comfortable and that's where we want to stay. We're in a good location. We have a great product line, and it's just maintaining it from here.
Right.
So I think my mentality these days is I don't want to be better than anybody. I just want to be good at or be the best at what I'm good at, and support everybody around me.
Right.
So whether that's just with my personal hair and with the salon, that's what I'm happy doing, and supporting the community at the same time, and getting, you know, small businesses that we can into the salon.
I love that.
And then, with our family, just focusing on this new child that's coming, and he has like 3 mommies besides me. So I think we're gonna be just fine there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Jeramie Photography is just going to keep going. I'm going into more commercial work. I still like weddings. I still like portraits. I shoot a ton of families. I just don't market it. So my website's always going to be current on what I want to book.
Gotcha.
So there's no families on my website at all, even though I shoot a ton of them. A lot more commercial stuff. And then I'll keep doing weddings for a while. And my price point is at the price point where I like doing weddings at. And as far as Hatch goes, Hatch is just community. So basically, the more spaces we get, the more people we get in, and then it's my role within the community to bring all photographers together and let the newer photographers know that, hey, it's okay to charge what you need to charge to get what you want, because the last thing we want is to battle a $100 photographer. And it's not because, you know, I don't care that they charge $100. I just feel bad for them. And their clients are not my clients, because nobody's going to go, well, you're 100, you're 500. I'm going to go to you now because you're 5 times the rate. Nobody's ever going to do that. So we're just building the community. We're still fighting off a lot of our online trolls, old school photographers who are slowly making the change into figuring out what we're doing. What we're doing is right, and not abandoning people that are in our industry. And but I have adopted the mentality of I could care less about what anybody thinks about anything, because you have to.
Yeah.
And having this this YouTube channel is kind of showing me that, because a lot of people just go on there just to hate randomly. And we had that at the beginning of Hatch. I mean, I was thrown on the dirty.com for owning Hatch, which I didn't even know that site existed. Nothing bad about me, just bad about Hatch.
Right.
And they just went off on like how it's killing the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys are crazy.
And I think it's common for people to attack success.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so, like, the more successful you get, the more...
It's like a jealousy.
Yeah, the more people are like, well, yeah, but you're this, or it's that, or it's
Right.
that. And I feel like Summer, you had said, this whole community vibe is, and I'm learning this through the podcast, it's something I definitely love and I want to be part of, but I'm slowly learning, and just like, no one's throwing anyone under the bus, but people are just talking to me, or I'll come to them and be like, hey, I want you to be on the podcast, and I'll be like, well, I'm nervous because, you know, people will come to me online or be mean or send me, you know, and they're scared of our own community. It's not even like this is like people from somewhere else.
Who freaking cares?
Right,
like,
but I think that's what they have to
paying
take.
our bills.
Exactly, and I think people, like you said, have to adapt that mentality of you have to start learning that you have to stop caring, like, of what, just do you and be happy, because somebody is not going to like it.
Right.
Always.
Well, and
Always.
the person that takes the time to actually go, you know, after you has nothing else to do.
Right.
Like, I don't have time to go after another photographer.
Right.
I'm busy doing my own thing, so I can't go on social media and bash them. I can't share their weird stuff, and I don't have time to talk negatively about somebody. I can't even talk positive. Like, during a shoot, I don't sit there and talk
Right.
negatively or positive about a photographer. I'm just, let's
Busy.
just do the shoot.
Right. You're doing your job, not, So with that, I think that's I'm so excited that we had you guys, and
Yes,
I'm just
thank you
so
so
much for having us.
appreciative. Yeah. Do you have anything last summer?
No, make sure if you're not already to be following
Yes.
the Luz. Can you guys share your social media
Yeah,
info
we like to do that
for
at the end of
those?
the...
I am Mama Lou 4 now.
Oh.
Used to be 3, but
Instagram.
change that on
On
Instagram.
Instagram.
Just Lindsay Lou on Facebook.
And then Salon Lux, is it just at Salon?
Salon Lux Reno
Okay.
on Instagram and Facebook.
Everything's Jeramie Lou everywhere.
Okay, awesome.
Branding the name.
Yeah.
And YouTube, especially photographers, because that was a huge way for me to learn starting out. That's why I loved that you started doing videos. Like you said, I used to watch Creative Live a lot or just sign up for classes. Check Jeramie out on YouTube because I think it's nice to see someone local. Instead of, sometimes I'll follow people, but they're like out in Virginia or New York, and I'm like, well, this is cool, but it's not really local to me. So
Yeah.
follow me on YouTube.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. That was cool. That was fun. That was awesome. Really good question. So I think we're going to do a follow-up on just photography. And don't forget to follow the Reno Social on Instagram and check it out. So they said it'll be about a week or so. So like I said, it'll be up by the time this video is up. But people doing things in our community, making our community stronger and better. And that's exactly what I love and why I built Hatch. So thank you guys so much for your support. Bye. Later. Bye.